Sham Sam Vam Sham Sham Sam Vam Sham Sham Sam La 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 Vam Sham Sham Sam Vam Sham Sham Sam Vam Sham Sham Sam Vam Sham
Good morning, friends.
Sham Sam
Thanks for being here this morning with Journey Home Meditation for the morning sit.
Vam Sham
I am Michael. I am going to be sharing some practices this morning,
La
utilizing some shared breathing. We'll have some contemplations on some ideas, perhaps, and
La
I've got some poems. At least one today, maybe two.
La
We'll see where the morning goes. But I'm happy to be here today. Thanks for joining us.
Vam
Let's just have a few moments to settle into our bodies and into this place
Sam
of shared practice.
Vam Sham Sham Sam Vam Sham Sham Sam Vam Sham Sham Sam Vam Sham Sham Sam La La
Okay.
La La
The chant we are listening to is a chant representing the mantra of chakras, different chakras. Lam, Bam, Ram, Sham, Yam, Om. And when we're doing our breathing practice without explicitly chanting those mantras or necessarily even stepping into those Vedic practices of Southern Asia, we are participating in the same movements through our bodies. There's a lot of shared practices around the world with different cultural flavorings and different names, different cosmologies behind them, but the practice is still the practice. It doesn't mean that doing one practice gives you full and complete access to the cultural understandings of another. And that's not even the point. That's not what we're trying to do. We aren't getting our doctoral degrees in anthropology for holding our breathing practices. We are just doing something that's very human, doing something very human. And I think that the more we can have a solid practice that's just rooted and grounded in the ways that we can understand, that we are opening, in the ways that we can understand that we are returning home. We are a part of these explosions. That's the very nature of our beings, as far as we understand somewhat collectively, just by witnessing the way that all life around us seems to work. We come from central spaces where we expand and grow and blossom and explode into bloom. The gentle breeze on a tree still moves the pollen, right? But the gentle breeze on the dandelion scatters it about, Like, the tree may be somewhat unmoved. The dust, the pollen, this or that may get blown around a touch, but the dandelion is completely dismantled. And in that dismantling, in that disrupting of its shape, it spreads and is born again. And I think that lesson is repeated across so many different expressions of spirit that it must have truth inside of me as well. It must have truth inside of me. It's just a way that it works right now. So as we settle in to breathe into this practice this morning of the practice of returning, let's begin by returning to our breath. It's through returning to our breath that I think we can start to let go of everything we think we know, to return to that place where you don't need definitions and understandings. It's just home. It's just home. There's something comforting about coming to that place where you don't need to have a map. You just find your way there. You know where you are. So straightening our spine as much as we can. If you're seated in a chair, put your feet to the floor or even cross your legs in any number of positions. If you're on the ground or a pillow or a mat, just be aware of not pushing the limits of your body's abilities to hold a comfortable and healthy position for some time. This is a non-violent practice. We're not here to bend ourselves into pretzels and force ourselves into submission, but find yourself seated in a way that promotes the body's ability to open to the breath. And just start to follow that breath into the body and out and see what it is that you are experiencing. Follow that breath all the way into the body and become aware of the way in which you are breathing. Are you breathing slow and long? Are you breathing short, shallow breaths? Are you gulping for air? Are you exhaling entirely and completely, or are you just releasing enough to begin to bring air back in again? Is your breath stuttered, unsure? Are you feeling pain or discomfort in any part of your body that you weren't aware of before you started slowing down and breathing? Breathing in through the nose, slowly and gently to the bottom of the belly, allowing the abdomen to fully inflate, fully rise. Let that belly soften and rise. Let's take a few breaths together. Breathing in and release. Breathing in and release. And in and release. Just take a few moments and listen. Some mornings the breath comes really easy, and calm is really easy. The mind is really gentle. Some mornings the mind is a assault of images and insecurities, nostalgias, fears, all of those things. And some mornings it's just a morning. It's just an opportunity to arise from the bed and awaken to the day. But these few breaths, they're really helpful in sort of cluing us into what our experience really truly is in the moment, because one of the things that I know to be true about myself is that I have a great ability to hide. I play this wonderful game of hide and seek with my emotions and with my intentions and with the things that I am being motivated by that I might be unaware of, because they're really good hiders. They're really good. You learn to hide in a culture that teaches us that there's no space for emotional expression in public or in polite company. It's inappropriate to laugh too much. It's inappropriate to cry. Sharing the things that you're feeling may be TMI. People say too much information, you're oversharing. You're oversharing, which it's just a way of saying you're overbearing. You're overwhelming my senses. But learning how to listen to those voices, those subtle things, the way that your body is tensing or holding a certain body position. You can really have the great opportunity to return back to a state of acceptance, even if that's not your go-to, even if that's not sort of your social makeup or your emotional makeup at this time. A lot of us maybe struggle with acceptance. There might have been pains that you have felt in your life that you fear that to accept them is to say that it's okay for whoever hurt you to do what they did, or whatever it may be. And we have a culture built on vengeance and punishment. It's funny, we even sort of idealize these ideas about not being forgiving. It's like this thing that people say, oh, well, I take people at their word, and if you don't live up to your word, I'll never trust you again. And people are like, yeah, that's right. Don't trust them ever again. If you're not perfect for me the first time, that's it. I'm done with you. And that kind of a learned expression, I think, really trains us to feel as if we have to be perfect, and we're not ever going to be. And so we know intimately that we're not. And so therefore we believe that if this is um, the highest form of good character, to be unforgiving and relentless in your pursuit of the perfection of relationship, then we have a belief that most of us are unlovable. Most of us are unforgivable because we've all caused harm, and we've all made mistakes, and we've all um, been selfish or been self-serving. So the work there then in doing this practice of listening to those voices come up is to simply hear what's being asked for in that demand or expression. Somebody makes this statement, it sinks into us. Ask what the need is. The loudest person in the room, who's the most forceful and the most projecting, may very well be the person who is expressing loudly the deepest need. And most likely we are not very skilled, so it's most likely not coming out as a question. It's most likely not coming out as, will you help me? How can you help me? But if we can quiet ourselves in that breath, then we can come to that place. And when we can come to that place, we know we're home. We know we're home. Because home is that place inside of us, like where you are allowed to be messy. You are allowed to make mistakes. You are allowed to feel the fierce joys and all of the things that come up. And sometimes it's hard for us to get to that place. I think we have to earn it. So we go through our lives with this fearful carefulness. We're not going through our lives full of care. We're going through our lives with this incredible shrinking ability to hide in places where we want to shine. I think that one of the trainings that many of us receive, most of us receive, I think it'd be safe to say, across our microcultures, but in this larger realm, is we are taught what love looks like. This is what love looks like. And we aren't asking anymore, and we're not asking love what it looks like. We're not asking ourselves what our love looks like or what it would look like for us to feel love. What we're doing is we're cramming ourselves into through an amazing contortionist ability to these boxes in which we think we have to fit into to be loved. This is the box I fit into to be loved. This is the box I fit into to love. If you don't fit in this box, I'm sorry, but I don't think I can love you. That's not allowed. And this, I think, is one of the greatest tragedies, maybe, of this era of human existence. Maybe it's one of the greatest casualties of civilization, mass society, is that even the way in which we are built to receive that thing that feeds us, that drives us, that encourages us, that motivates us, even that is restricted and stamped and prepackaged. And we spend our lives dissecting ourselves so that we can compartmentalize into these different boxes. And we think that if I love this, then I'm going to hurt this, or I'm going to cause harm. And we forget that there is no harm that is love. Now, the harm is what we feel when we have unhealed wounds, when we never had things that were tended to, and we don't know how to tend to those wounds, then it feels harmful. That's again why I say, when I'm living in my wounding, everything hurts. And when I'm living in my healing, everything is medicine. And it's just another way of saying, like, when I am being tended to and tending to my hurt places, everything that I offer and allow in is love. It feels like love. It feels like healing. And that feels like returning. That's coming home. Spent a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of pain and a lot of friendships on running away as fast as I could from going into that internal space, because I thought that's the only thing that lived there could be hurt. The only thing that lives in that space is hurt. And if I open that hurt up, people are going to see it. They're going to see how ugly it is. They're going to see how incompetent I am, how emotionally and stunted I am. So I can't let that happen. So let's get loud. Let's party. Let's get angry. Whatever it is. Look over here. Look over here. It's this grand illusionist. I'm showing you my hands, but you can't see what I've sleeved or what I've pocketed. Derek DelGaudio has a phenomenal stage performance that Frank Oz turned into a film called In and of Itself. And he shared that the really great illusionists, the really great magicians, the really great tricksters, they don't hide anything from you. They show it all. And that's the trick, is that it's you that sees what it is you need to see. That's the trick. That's the great illusion. So maybe I've adopted in my life these extroverted tendencies to overshare or whatever it is. I'm sure that there's some Instagram ad out there that says oversharing is not blah, blah, blah. It's an ADHD response. Okay, sure. There's a pathology for everything. So yeah, sell me an app. But it's that that practice of hiding, running, distracting, that you get really good at with time. And all of that time, you're sort of ensuring that you're not going to be actually getting into home. but you're carrying that all the time with you, and it's going to affect every single thing you do. It's like this growth that just takes up space. It doesn't make space, it takes space. There's this large thing inside of us taking space. When you touch into it, you open that space. Now you're making space. You're large in a way that welcomes in more. And then you learn, like what the Banksons say, that healing comes from the place where the hurt comes. It's the only place it can happen. Healing can only happen in the place where the hurt is. Got to get in there, man. Got to get in there. And this is unbelievable. So I just cracked open for the first time since Tuesday Bell Hook's Appalachian Elegy, the book we've been working through here. Haven't opened it, haven't read ahead. I'm finding the absolute and utter joy of being surprised by this daily offering in the moment. And I had no idea. This is number 7. I'm going to require light. Again and again she calls me, this wilderness within, urging me onward, be here, make a path where the sound of ancestors speaks a language heard beyond the grave. This earth I stand on belongs to the many dead. Treasure I find here is all gift, tender, solace. Holding back the future, the dead that will not let us forget, late ones, and even further back, the ancients, dreaming, achieving, they will not let us forget. Time is aboriginal, eternal. They carry us back, take us through the sacred portal that we may come again, then again, into the always present. Again and again she calls me, this wilderness within. When I think of wilderness, I think of those the places uncultivated by permanence. This idea of permanence, right? And sometimes even now with all of the size and just the massiveness of society, we've cultivated so many places, and we have bases on moons. We have, all these things. We've cultivated a lot of places. So now wilderness is even now starting to swallow those places back. You drive through some areas, and especially in the desert, you can drive through areas where there's the places the old ones lived, that they've carved into the stones. These are in deserts all over the world, but I've driven through them in Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, California. You drive through these places where the old ones were, and they've been gone a long time, but the places are there, and it's sort of swallowing back in. So even wilderness can include the reclaiming of what was once cultivated. And so I think of wilderness, and I think of that is the true place of belonging. And we have been, according to the Christian cosmology, ejected from the garden, right? According to other belief systems, we've been, disallowed from really being at home here, and this comes through in a lot of ways, like with a lot of Buddhist practices talk about how we're sort of in this cycle, this repetitive cycle of birth and death and rebirth and death and rebirth and death and rebirth. And we're doing this because we're stuck in this place of not belonging. And we have to do the work to shed all of the things that keep us from belonging. And famously, the Buddha sat under the tree, and when Maya came and said, "Where's your proof? Where's your evidence?" And Buddha's hand went to the earth and said, "This." And enlightenment came. It's this idea, this is my home. And it's not just this piece of land. It's not this like real estate, this property. It's this understanding that I belong. I am an expression, as you are an expression, as everything we see, touch, smell, hear, feel, think. It's all an expression of life. It's all spirit. So my home is here. But we've constructed and manufactured these ways of living that keep us just outside of that breadth of knowledge, just outside of it. Again, to refer to the story of the Buddha, Buddha was born a prince in a kingdom where he was never allowed to feel pain, never allowed to feel discomfort, never wanted for a thing. Everything was, at his disposal. And it was upon leaving the security and safety of that manufactured space, and he stepped out and he saw death, and he saw sickness, and he saw aging, and he saw that everything falls apart. Then the idea of the puppet show that's been played out before him of safety, this theater of permanence, it lost its appeal. And he struck out and sought something deeper. And it's exactly that theater of permanence that holds us to our belief systems of judgment and separation and fear and punishment and all these things, the seeking of penance, like all of this. It's that artifice that it's just the thin veneer that just thick enough to keep us from that wilderness where our home is. And here's this poet, and she's telling us, this wilderness within's calling me, it's urging me onward. Be here. Make a path where the sound of ancestors speaks a language heard beyond the grave. Come home. Find your absolute and amazingly, utterly beautiful self expressed through this body, expressed through this breath, expressed through this clumsy way that we fall into each other. Find your love of that, because that's home. It's time. It's time to come home. What else are we going to do that hasn't been done in this play of falsity and ignorance? How much more are you going to beat yourself up thinking that that's going to work? You're going to beat yourself into peace. You're going to find peace by berating yourself. You're going to find love by hating yourself. You're going to find joy and contentment with shaming yourself. You're going to find that with shaming others. Is it working? Is what we're doing working? And if it's not working, then let's let it work to at least make us aware that we can shift and we can come home. She says, take us through the sacred portal that we may come again, then again, into the always present. Let's do it. Thanks for coming here this morning. I appreciate it. You can reach out by email, journeyhomemeditation@gmail.com, or you can join this conversation by commenting on this post, sharing this post, commenting on this post, liking this post. Those things, they are helpful. They help us to reach more people that might want to join the conversation and more people that might want to participate in sharing who they are. And if people are ready to start coming home and start sharing those experiences, then we're going to be having more lights illuminating pathways inward. That's what this is about. This is not about me and my ideas. These ideas, this speaking, this sharing, this is the invitation. This is every day the invitation, just the invitation. Join us, if you will. Come sit at the table. Please serve up a plate. Please bring your dish, whatever it is. But until we start to open up to be the lights that illuminates the path for one another, we're still wandering in the dark. I want to come home. I want you to come home. Let's see. Let's see what we can do. That's all I got today. I love you all. It's not so personal. It's not sticky, and it's not messy, and it's not untrue. Deal with that. Hari Om.